There was a cloud of laughter as the bell rang, signaling the end of yet another mundane day at Oakwood High. The hallways buzzed with idle chatter about parties, the latest gossip, and the current trends sweeping the student body. As students filed out of classrooms, the air filled with an unmistakable energy, the kind of energy that hinted at teenage spontaneity and social hierarchies. Among the throng of students was a kind-hearted young man named Darius, distinguished not just by his character, but also by the unique challenges he faced. Darius was a single father, balancing his studies with the responsibilities of parenthood. His daughter, Zoe, was as bright as her name suggested, with a bubbly personality that could light up the darkest room. Darius had fought hard to provide for her while pursuing his education, often sacrificing his own needs for the sake of her happiness. He carried himself with a quiet dignity and unyielding optimism, teaching Zoe that life's challenges were mere stepping stones. Despite his strengths, Darius found himself on the receiving end of mockery. Groups of classmates, intoxicated by their own social status, often made him their target. They whispered behind his back, tossing around cruel jokes and assumptions about him. It was easy for them to judge Darius based on appearances, as he often wore clothes that were practical rather than trendy, a reflection of his priorities as a father rather than a fashion statement. In their eyes, he was the kid who didn't belong, an outsider who didn't fit their idea of cool. Amidst the raucous laughter echoing through the hallways, Darius could hear the barbs aimed at him. "Did you see what he was wearing?" One girl snickered, her eyes glinting with disdain. "Probably can't even afford a decent outfit," a boy added, smirking proudly at his quip. The laughter that followed was a cruel soundtrack to Darius's high school experience. Yet, there was more to Darius than his wardrobe. Unbeknownst to his classmates, he was an intelligent and ambitious individual, driven by a vision of success that extended far beyond high school. Darius had been working on a tech startup in his spare time, something that required late nights with his laptop and a relentless pursuit of a dream that many would consider out of reach. The whispers about his financial struggles were just that, whispers. They knew nothing of his hard work or the sacrifices he made to chase his ambitions. Darius was acutely aware of the assumptions swirling around him, but he refused to let them define his self-worth. He remained focused on what truly mattered, being a good father and paving a better future for Zoe. With each passing day, Darius was determined to rise above the petty cruelty of his peers, drawing strength from his love for his daughter and his aspirations to change their lives for the better. As the laughter faded and the hallways emptied, Darius would often find solace in quiet moments spent with Zoe. He taught her the value of resilience and kindness, instilling in her the belief that people should be judged by their character, not their circumstances. These lessons, anchored in love and perseverance, would one day serve them both well. Little did his classmates know that the boy they mocked was destined for greatness, and the story he would write was just beginning. One crisp Friday afternoon, as the golden leaves crunched underfoot, a particularly arrogant group of classmates was huddled together, their excitement palpable in the air. Led by the ever-popular Jessica, they were the kind of students who thrived on social status and the thrill of exclusivity. Rumors of their lavish parties circulated like wildfire, each event an opportunity to showcase their wealth and make everyone else feel small. Jessica, with her designer clothes and perfectly styled hair, was the shining star of this group. She had a knack for drawing attention and effortlessly commanded the room with her infectious laughter and air of superiority. But beneath her glimmering facade lay a cruel streak that often manifested in the way she treated others, especially those she deemed beneath her social standing. The idea for the party came about on a whim. Jessica had overheard snippets of conversations about Darius, the quiet young man often found tucked away in the library with his daughter, Zoe. With whispers of poverty surrounding Darius, fueled by the sight of him balancing schoolwork with fatherhood, Jessica saw an opportunity for amusement. "Let's throw a party at my mansion and invite Darius," she proposed to her friends, a malicious grin spreading across her face. "It'll be hilarious to see if he actually shows up." Her friends erupted in laughter, The prospect of mocking Darius was too enticing for them to resist. They didn't care to know the truth about his life. Their minds were already painted with assumptions based on his appearance and lifestyle. "He'll probably think it's some big deal," one of Jessica's friends snorted, "and then we can watch him embarrass himself." The plan was set in motion, an insidious twist lurking beneath the surface of what was branded an invitation. As the rumors swirled through the hallways of Oakwood High, students buzzed with excitement about the upcoming event and the curious invitation that had been extended to Darius. The party was the talk of the school, a chance for the elite to flaunt their riches while pretending to be inclusive. "I wonder what he'll wear," another classmate snickered, oblivious to the hurt they were planning to inflict. Darius, naively optimistic and eager to foster connections for Zoe, received the invitation with mixed emotions. He initially felt a pang of hesitation, but as thoughts of his daughter's excitement filled his mind, he decided to take a risk. Maybe this could be a chance for Zoe to make friends, he muttered to himself, resolving to attend. Dressed in his best, Darius entered the world of Jessica's mansion, where creamy marble floors and delicate chandeliers signaled a life far removed from his own. As he stepped into the party, the atmosphere shifted. Laughter filled the expansive rooms, lively music pulsing through the air, but the moment Jessica spotted him, the laughter took on a mocking tone. "Look who's here!" she exclaimed, feigning surprise as she flashed her perfectly manicured nails. The library's favorite dad. Nervous laughter erupted from Jessica's entourage, a cruel reminder of the jest that had sparked this entire gathering. Darius maintained his composure, determined not to show how much their words affected him. He wanted to focus on Zoe, who was already fascinated by the grandeur of the mansion. As they moved through the crowded room, Darius's heart sank at the thought of the mockery behind closed doors. He could sense the gossip swirling around him, but rather than engage, he took a deep breath, reminding himself of his purpose, to be there for Zoe and show her the value of character over popularity. The party continued, but unbeknownst to Jessica and her friends, their cruelty was about to unravel in ways they could never expect. What they thought would be a night filled with entertainment at Darius's expense would instead turn into a powerful life lesson that shattered their preconceived notions and challenged their misguided beliefs about what true worth really meant. Jessica's plan, woven with threads of mockery, was about to be tested, revealing the sharp divide between perception and reality. Little did they know, this night would change everything. When Darius first received the invitation to Jessica's party, he was in the midst of a long study session with his daughter, Zoe. The two had spent hours poring over homework assignments, their laughter occasionally breaking through the seriousness of trigonometry and historical timelines. As Darius glanced at the colorful envelope in his hand, a mix of surprise and curiosity washed over him. He had always been an outsider at Oakwood High, yet here he was, receiving an invitation to one of the most talked-about events of the year. Despite the apprehension tickling at the back of his mind, Darius chose to see the invitation as an opportunity. He wanted to teach Zoe about inclusivity and the importance of engaging with others, regardless of social standing. "Maybe this could be a good chance for you to meet new friends," he said, casting a warm smile at his daughter. Zoe's face lit up with excitement, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Dad, this is our chance to have fun," she exclaimed, jumping up and down with joy. Darius felt a swell of pride mixed with concern. He knew that navigating social situations with their complexities and dynamics could be daunting, especially for someone like him, who had faced a share of judgment from peers. Still, he wanted to prioritize Zoe's happiness and allow her to experience life outside their routine. With a deep breath and a nod of resolution, he agreed. "All right, let's go to the party." The night of the event arrived quickly, and Darius found himself standing in front of the ornate entryway of Jessica's mansion, a building that exuded grandeur. As he walked through the grand double doors, his heart raced with a combination of excitement and anxiety. He could hardly comprehend how someone his age could live in such opulence, let alone host a party there. Although he was dressed in smart casual attire, carefully selected to avoid drawing negative attention. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was vastly out of place among the sea of designer clothes and flashy accessories. The moment Darius stepped inside, he felt an electric energy in the air. Music pulsed from the expansive living room, flowing like a current through the throngs of students who were already mingling. Laughter and chatter enveloped him, creating an atmosphere that felt both welcoming and suffocating at the same time. At that moment, he could sense the subtle undercurrents of condescension in the glances cast his way, eyes lingering longer than necessary, whispers carrying through the music, and nervous giggles as Jessica and her friend spotted him. Yet, Darius refused to let doubt creep into his mind. He reminded himself of the importance of composure in the face of adversity. He straightened his back, took a deep breath, and focused on Zoe, who was eagerly tugging at his sleeve. "Can we get snacks?" she asked, her excitement unfazed by the awkwardness of their surroundings. He smiled, grateful for her innocence and zest for life. As they navigated through the packed crowd, Darius's mind began to swirl with thoughts. What would they say? How would they react? He was keenly aware of the potential ridicule that could come their way. But as he watched Zoe interact with other kids, her bubbly personality shining through, Darius felt a sense of purpose wash over him. This was not just about him. It was about providing a space for his daughter to thrive and enjoy every moment of being a child. Every laugh and shriek from Zoe brought a smile to Darius's face. She had a way of brightening any room, and in that moment, he vowed to protect her joy at all costs. Whatever storm brewed around them, whether judgment or awkwardness, Darius was there to guide her, teaching her that there was strength in being true to oneself, regardless of the judgments of others. As the night wore on, the atmosphere took on a dynamic of its own. Darius stood tall, embracing the challenge of the situation, ready to face whatever came their way. Little did he know, the experience in those lavish surroundings would soon reshape the perceptions of his classmates and challenge the very fabric of their understanding regarding worth and identity. Darius stepped further into the heart of the party, ready for whatever twists and turns awaited him in this unfamiliar territory. Once inside Jessica's lavish mansion, it didn't take long for her and her entourage to spot Darius. He felt like a fish out of water, standing amidst glimmering chandeliers and the privileged elite. "Look who decided to grace us with his presence," Jessica exclaimed, her voice dripping with mockery as laughter spilled from her lips. The other students looked on, giggling and sharing knowing glances, their amusement unfiltered and sharp. Darius forced a smile, feeling the weight of their judgment, but determined not to let their taunts penetrate his armor of composure. He reminded himself that he was here for Zoe, to create a memorable experience for her, untainted by other people's opinions. While he stood there, scanning the room for a moment of reprieve, Zoe remained blissfully unaware of the scorn directed at them. With her innocent heart, she tugged at her dad's sleeve, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Can we get some snacks?" she chirped, her excitement contagious, bringing a warmth to Darius's heart. "Of course, sweetie. Let's find some," he replied, chuckling softly at her eagerness. Darius was grateful for her happiness, taking solace in her uninhibited joy and ignoring the world around him, focusing instead on the father-daughter bond they cherished. Together, they made their way toward the snack table, which was indirectly positioned away from the prying eyes of Jessica and her clique. However, their moment of peace was short-lived. As they moved through the crowd, a voice pierced the cheerful atmosphere. "I wonder what car he drove here." "A bicycle," one of Jessica's friends cackled, her laughter cutting through Darius like a cold wind. The comment triggered a wave of laughter from the group, a mockery designed to wound. Each snicker, each cruel comment felt like nails on a chalkboard, scraping against Darius's resolve. Yet, instead of retaliating or allowing anger to cloud his judgment, Darius remained calm, grounding himself in the moment. He took a deep breath, drawing on the lessons he wanted to impart to Zoe. Here was an opportunity to show her the power of grace, resilience, and maintaining one's dignity in the face of adversity. With a gentle squeeze of his daughter's shoulder, he shifted his focus away from the mockery to the playful spirit that Zoe exuded. "Hey, look at that," he pointed out, redirecting her attention towards a platter of colorful cupcakes adorned with frosting swirls and sprinkles. A cupcake for the birthday girl, right? Zoe beamed, her focus shifting entirely as her eyes widened at the sight. Darius's heart swelled with pride as he realized that their bond was far more significant than any cruel jest flung their way. As they approached the treat table, Darius whispered to Zoe, "Remember, sweetie, it's always better to be kind than to sink to their level." Zoe nodded, her innocent mind absorbing every nugget of wisdom her father imparted. Darius's composure didn't go unnoticed. Other students, witnessing the interaction, began to shift in their perceptions. Rather than laughing along with Jessica and her clique, some looked on with curiosity and respect, intrigued by Darius's calm amidst the storm. Moments later, another student bravely challenged Jessica's group, asking Darius about his interests in technology and entrepreneurship, the seeds of curiosity planted in the minds of those present. "Oh, you're into tech?" one girl asked, genuinely interested. As their conversation unfolded, Darius felt the shift in dynamics elevate from mockery to genuine intrigue. Jessica, now realizing that her attempt at humiliation was backfiring, stood there momentarily speechless. The laughter that once echoed with ridicule was morphing into real conversations filled with respect and admiration. In that moment, Darius recognized that his decision to remain graceful was not just an act of defiance, but a lesson in humanity that rippled through the crowd. By facing adversity with honor and not letting negativity dictate his response, he transformed a potentially humiliating experience into an opportunity for connection and understanding, not just for himself, but for his daughter as well. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as Darius steadied himself in the face of their taunts. With a calm resolve, he decided to flip the script. "It's funny how life surprises you. Everyone assumes things based on appearances," he casually remarked, hoping to deflect the negativity without escalating the tension. Jessica, fueled by her confidence and social standing, seized the opportunity to dig deeper. "Like how you probably can't afford anything here," she laughed, her voice echoing through the room. Unbeknownst to her, she had just set her own trap, unaware of the powerful revelation that awaited them all. Darius felt a spark of determination in that moment. He could feel the weight of judgment resting on his shoulders, but he was ready to deliver a truth that would resonate far beyond the walls of that mansion. With a small smile creeping onto his face, he replied, "You'd be surprised. My company just secured a $100 million deal last week." The words hung in the air, and for a brief moment, silence enveloped the room. The music in the background faded into an uneasy stillness as the realization of what he had just said sank in. Darius took a moment to lean into the impact of his declaration, pulling out his smartphone to show the latest news article about his startup success. It was straightforward, a feature highlighting his innovative tech company, the immense deal they had just landed, and the promising future ahead. As he displayed the screen, whispers began to ripple through the crowd. Eyes widened, mouths dropped in disbelief, and the atmosphere shifted from one of mockery to shock. Jessica stood frozen, her facade of confidence crumbling as the weight of her words settled heavily upon her. The laughter that had once erupted from her lips now felt distant, as her peers processed this unexpected twist. Darius was not just a man struggling to make ends meet. He was a formidable businessman and a dedicated father, carving a path for his daughter that defied all preconceived notions. In an instant, the perception of Darius shattered, and the tide turned. The mockery that had once colored their interactions faded away, replaced by a burgeoning respect from those who had once scoffed at his presence. Students began to gravitate toward him, eager to learn more about the success story they had just dismissed. "No way. You really did that," a fellow student gushed, stepping closer. Darius found himself surrounded, engaging in conversations about his journey, the challenges he had overcome, and the work it took to get to this point. His passion for technology and entrepreneurship ignited discussions that prompted students to ask questions and share their own aspirations. Darius's insights captivated them, transforming the narrative from one of ridicule to one of inspiration. Meanwhile, Jessica stood off to the side, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She had orchestrated this gathering with the intent to humiliate, yet here she was, witnessing firsthand the results of her actions backfiring spectacularly. as her friends surrounded Darius, eager to listen to him. She felt the sting of regret piercing through her. The realization settled in. Perhaps true worth could not be measured by wealth or social standing, but by talent, hard work, and character. The party was winding down, but the energy was electric. Darius continued to share anecdotes from his journey, teaching those around him not just about business, but about resilience, determination, and the importance of rising above negativity. It was a night that would not soon be forgotten, a night where perceptions changed and lessons were learned that transcended the boundaries of wealth and status. As Darius left the mansion later that evening, Zoe's hand tightly clasped in his, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had turned a potentially humiliating experience into an invaluable lesson, not just for himself, but for so many others around him. The journey of the evening reminded him that authenticity and strength in character can redefine narratives, demonstrating that true worth goes beyond appearances and social cliques. And as he walked home with Zoe, Darius knew that their world was filled with possibilities, ready to be explored.